Hi, everybody. How are we doing? Let's see who we have on. So, firstly, can you hear me? Chris, do a thumbs up if you can hear me. Can anybody hear me? Yeah, okay, you can hear me. Judith, can you hear me? Judith Turnson, can you hear me? Oh, I think some people might be having. Just put it into the chat if you can. Yeah, okay, okay. I think people. Okay, I'm having a little bit of. I see Maureen Travers there. Hiya, Maureen. I'm having a little bit of computer trouble this evening. I actually got a new computer. Actually, just bear with this meeting. I'm gonna swap over to the other computer because this one is too slow. And okay, you can hear me loud and clear. Okay, maybe we'll try it on this one and see what happens. But if there's a problem with it, let me know. Okay, so you know how to use the chat box. I think most of you are, yeah. So I can hear you loud and clear. Okay, so listen, if there's issues, just put it into the chat box, and I might have to change computer. I might have to change laptop because I'm just having a few issues. Okay, Tony, thanks. So just let me know what the story is. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to play a little video of how to make a vegetable soup, vegetable and dal soup, an Ayurvedic vegetable and dal soup. Now, it's something I cook a lot myself. And also, you can turn it into a flask lunch very easy. And I'm going to show you how to do that as well. And that's kind of important because a lot of people, one of the things I get from a lot of people is that they can't have their main meal in the middle of the day. They because they're at work and maybe they only have half an hour for their lunch or whatever, you know. So and they just don't have time to go out and get decent food, and so they end up eating sandwiches or crisps and those type of things. And from an Ayurvedic perspective, that's a disaster really, because you know, Ayurveda would say in the middle of the day, the sun is at the highest in the sky. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, in the middle of the day, 12 o'clock noon, wherever you are, the sun is at its highest, and that's reflected in your physiology by your Agni, which is your digestive fire, also being at its highest, and that's when we can digest the heaviest food the easiest. Okay, and that's when we can get the most out of the meal that we eat. So Ayurveda sees it very important to eat your main meal in the middle of the day and eat very lightly in the evening time, so that when you go to bed, your system isn't dealing with a lot of, you know, trying to digest undigested food and toxins. It can do all the other things it needs to do, like cleaning out the system and all of that. So main meal in the middle of the day is very important, but for some people, it's quite hard. So Chris says, no, your sound is a little crackly, but Jerry Thompson says it's not crackly to me. So I'm not sure, Chris, if it's crackly, I'm not hearing anything here. So really it should be crackly for everybody. Or maybe it's just something local on your computer either, might be. Regina says it's okay for her as well. So it's probably something local there, you know, probably something local. So Ayurveda says, you know, get your main meal in the middle of the day. So I made this video at the beginning of the first lockdown in 2020. And the reason why I'm playing it tonight is that I've had a few calls off people recently about Flask lunch and things like that. So I just thought I'd redo it. Now, in actual fact, the video is in two sections, but 90% of what you need is in the first section of the video. And we'll just see how we're going. I'll stop the video at the end of the first one. And if we need to play the second one, I can play it. It's only about 17 minutes long. And it wouldn't be the way that most people would expect to do a cookery course in a way. You'll see what I mean by that, but don't get too freaked out about that. I'm not big into measurements and exact precision, even though I'm a pitta type, but when it comes to cooking, I just go with the flow really with what I'm doing, you know, and you'll see that when I'm cooking. So anyway, what we'll do is, let's see what we have. We have 181. Wow, we have 181 people on. So what I'll do is I'll share the screen, and we'll start the video. And then if there's a problem with it, I'll keep an eye on the chats here. If there's a problem with it, just let me know, okay? But hopefully it'll work out okay. So Okay, so here we go. I'll look at the chats on the other computer.
Hi everybody, Noel here. Welcome to my kitchen. As I promised during the week, I said I'd show you how I cook my lunch most days.
Okay, it doesn't sound loud enough. Let me just stop the share. Let me just see, can I go to... Okay, I'm going to put it up. We'll try again.
And this time I'm going to do a vegetable soup. So basically I'm just going to cook my lunch. It's 1:30 now. It's a bit late for me to be having lunch, but anyway, I was out this morning. So I'm basically just going to cook my lunch and I'm going to show you how I do it. Now, the first thing you need to do if you're going to cook a healthy immunity boosting meal is have healthy immunity boosting ingredients. Unfortunately, there's no way around that. So I'm a big believer in using locally grown in season organic vegetables. And I'm very fortunate in Drogheda because quite nearby there is a farm, a family farm, McNally family farm, which you may be familiar with. And McNally family farm, they're based in Walchestown. And some of you, well, people from Dublin may know them because they have markets in Temple Bar and they have markets in the People's Park. But they also have a farm shop. And at the moment the farm shop is open from Wednesdays to Sundays. So I drove up there this morning. We're allowed to go out for food, so you're entitled to do that. It's my normal place where I go shopping. And I got my vegetables for the week. So what I have today, what I'm going to be using today is I got beetroot. Okay, I got some lovely beetroot which I've already chopped up. Okay, beetroot is a superfood. One of the strange things about beetroot is I never liked it until I started stir frying it. My mother used to boil it. You know, a lot of people boil beetroot, and I never really liked it that way. But when you stir fry it with the spices, it's actually gorgeous. You know, I got some red cabbage, I got some green cabbage, I got some parsnips, I got some baby spinach, and I got some beautiful broccoli. Now, all of this is grown in season on their own farm. They don't use synthetic pesticides or synthetic herbicides, so there's no glyphosate residue on this. And I'm a big believer in that, because what's the point in taking in nasty chemicals with your food? The purer you can get it, the better. I also got some coriander and some parsley. I'm also using some sweet potatoes, which I didn't get there. I bought them in the local shop, you know. So that's the first thing. If you can't grow your own vegetables, try find a local grower or a local supplier as near as possible to you that's producing good, high quality food. There's another company called Green Earth Organics. They're based in Galway and they do a box delivery system. Now, sometimes people say, well, eating healthily is very expensive. My vegetables for the week cost about €27, and that does me for the best part of the week. On top of that, I have maybe some rice and some dal and some spices, but €27. So what's that? That's the price of would you get an evening meal out for €27? I'm not too sure. Probably the price of 2 or 3 takeaways. So I don't know. I don't feel that that's particularly expensive to have really good quality food. But I suppose everybody has to make their own decision on that. So that's the vegetables we're using. I basically have 2 sieves. I've cut up the vegetables into this one. So everything's chopped up and put in there. And in this one here, I have 2 different beans. I have yellow mung dal and I have brown lentils. So yellow mung dal is the split part of the mung bean. It's the inner part of it. And in Ayurveda, it's very revered really because it is full of protein. Okay, so this is a vegetarian meal. Okay, so there's no meat in this meal, but we still need to take protein in, and it's very important that we get proper protein. So yellow mung dal is full of protein, and unlike most beans which cause an increase of vata. Now, I'm not going to go into the Ayurvedic terms too much, but you can look it up on the website, ayurveda.ie. But vata is air and space, okay? And beans tend to have the effect of increasing gas in people, but yellow mung dal actually doesn't. It's very balancing, so it's very good for all 3 doshas, whether you're vata, pitta or kapha. And then the other thing I'm using just to have a bit of variety is brown lentils. So they're the main ingredients. That's your lentils, your dal and your lentils, and then that's your vegetables, okay? And then on top of that, then what I have is the spices that we use in this. So this is really what makes the big difference, because it's the spices that adds the flavor to this food. We're not going to be using any stock here. It's just going to be the flavors that come from the spices. So I have there's so many different things that you can use. I'm using 6 or 7 of them today. So I've got black pepper. really good for your digestion. So black pepper. I have cumin seeds in this little jar here. Cumin seeds. I have a thing called asafoetida. Asafoetida is also called Hingu. I have two varieties of it. I have a Maharishi Ayurveda one and I have one from Satnam. And this is made from the resin of a tree, okay, or various different trees. And it's got a very strong smell of it. But fortunately, it doesn't taste like it smells. It adds lovely flavor to the food. It's used all over Iran and India in the cooking. It's also very antiviral, considered to be very antiviral. So I cook with this a lot. It is quite strong though, so you don't need very much of it, particularly the Maharishi Ayurveda one. You just need a small little pinch of it. And what else I have then is, I'm going today, I don't use them that often, but I'm going to use a churna. So we have vata churnas and pitta churnas. I'm going to use a vata churna today. So churnas are just mixtures of spices. So generally I would have also turmeric, which I'm a great believer in using in the cooking, but I actually don't have any separate turmeric, but it is contained in this particular churna, and there's various different spices contained in there. And then I have rock salt as well. Now, I'm not going to add rock salt into the cooking. You can use the rock salt at the end just to add flavour to the food. And rock salt I like as well because really it's only partly salt. It comes from rocks. It's basically broken down. You see the salt lamps that you can buy in the shops and things like that. That's rock salt, and what it does is it's milled down. But the good thing about it is it only contains a certain percentage of salt, but it contains lots of other essential minerals and things in it as well, you know. So it's I use that a lot in the cooking, and it's obviously got a very salty taste. Now, as for the cooking oil, for the oil that I use, well, I generally use this stuff called ghee, okay? And ghee is a dairy product, and essentially it's clarified butter. It's very easy to make. It's quite expensive to buy, but it's very easy to make. And maybe someday I'll do a video of how to make that. But basically you make it with unsalted butter, and that's all you need, and a piece of cloth. Unsalted butter, a stove, and a piece of cloth. But you can buy it in Asian shops. I like to get this one because it's organic. It's an organic ghee as well. So it's I like, and I cook with this. In Ayurveda, this stuff is revered. Absolutely revered. If you ever go to do Ayurvedic treatments, if you ever get the opportunity in your life to do a thing called panchakarma, which is a detoxification, one of the things you have to do is drink a lot of this. And if you ever get the home treatment to detox, you drink a lot of this. And the reason that is because this oil has the ability to go very, very deeply into the cells. And it's used to get toxins out of the fat cells in the body. And why we use it for cooking is that when we put all the spices in there, that then those nutrients are carried very deeply into the cells, into the tissues as well. And basically, you know, from an Ayurvedic perspective, the herbs, the spices, the foods, they contain nature's intelligence, and you're transferring that intelligence into your own physiology. So ghee is used an awful lot. It's said to help to create what's called ojas, and ojas is vitality. Ojas, you can also call it immunity and vitality, but it's that life force, it's that creativity, it's that dynamism, it's that sparkle that you have, it's that really strong immune system that you have, and ghee is meant to be one of the superfoods in Ayurveda that helps to produce that. However, as I said, it's a dairy product, and nowadays we've a lot of people that are going vegan for one reason or another, and that's absolutely fine. That's a personal choice. So my other option would be for people who want a vegan meal is to use coconut oil. Okay, coconut oil also is very revered as a cooking oil as well. So, but I wouldn't tend to use, you know, bad oils. You're better off not using any than using bad oils, okay, or mixtures of oils or things like that. So coconut oil, organic coconut oil, but all coconut oil is organic, really. That may be just a bit of a jargon saying it's organic. You don't need to spray coconut trees with anything in order to get them to grow. So coconut oil or ghee is the oil that we use. And then you have the various different ingredients there. So the first thing you need to do is to wash them, particularly the dal, okay, because dal can be a little bit starchy, and if we wash the starch off the dal, then it's much lighter and much easier to digest. So I'll get my cameraman to, well, there's no need to watch me doing these, but anyway, I'll run this under the tap. So you just run the dal. You have to believe me, I know you can't see it on the camera, but you just run the dal under the tap, and it kind of runs out milky white underneath it. and you just leave that run for a while, and then just give it a good shake around, and then just leave it over to one side, and then you get all your veggies, and you run them under the tap as well. And the veggies can be anything, whatever you like. Carrots, if you don't, certain things you don't like, it doesn't make any difference. I would suggest you use in-season vegetables. There's a reason they're in season, and if you can use in-season vegetables, do that. But it's up to yourself, whatever you want to use. So you give them a washing under the tap. Okay, and then they're ready to go. Right, okay, so we'll get the cameraman to move the thing back. Okay, so I have a pot. Cast iron if you have. This one is a stainless steel pot, so I'll just use that. So you start off and you put the heat up full blast. Put it up to the top level, okay? And then you get a cloth. Okay, thought that was going to be a disaster. Okay, so you get a cloth and you wooden spoon, and you just take out a certain amount of the ghee. Okay, so maybe that and a little bit more. Okay, and then you put it on the pan, and that will melt. Okay, so you just leave that to melt. And the good thing about ghee is you can heat it up quite high, and the same with coconut oil. You can heat it to quite a high temperature. So that's on full blast. It's on full heat. And that'll start melting. The other thing that I didn't mention that I have is chopped ginger. And again, ginger is great. Ginger is very antiviral as well, and it's a digestive aid as well. It'll help to increase the power of your digestion. You can get root ginger anywhere. You can buy it in most supermarkets at this stage. So just get some root ginger as well. So okay, you can have some chopped tomatoes if you want. They can be a little bit acidic. So if you're pitta nature like me, probably just a small amount of that. But yeah, whatever you want, So okay, so the oil starts to melt in the pan. So you let that heat up. The other thing you can do is boil a kettle of water at this stage as well. So I tend to filter the water. It'd be fair if I didn't have to, but I do tend to filter the water and then fill up the kettle and boil up the kettle as well. Because we're making soup here today, so obviously we're going to be using water. A lot of Ayurvedic meals, you don't need to use water at all. And maybe I'll do another example of that on another day. Okay, so that oil is heating up. You can hear it crackling, okay? So then I just put in some cumin seeds. Okay, if it gets too hot, you can just take it off the thing. Just lower the heat down a little bit. Some cumin seeds. I put in the ginger. I put in the black pepper. I put in the hingu. And I put in some vata churna as well. Okay, so that's the spices I'm going to be using, and then I stir that around. Okay, and you can see the steam coming up off it. Not sure if I can show you that in there. Anyway, you can see the steam coming up off it. And then what you do is, once they've cooked a little bit, and you're just kind of mixing the spices in with the oil, and then you can put your dal in on top of that. And then mix that up. You can take it off the heat. You don't want it sticking to the pan. So you can take it off the heat and mix it around and make sure that the oil is infusing itself into all of the seeds, all of the dal and the lentils. And then you just mix it around a little bit. Then you take your veggies, wash them one more time. No harm in having a little bit of water at this stage. Okay, just shake the water on there, put it in there. And then, again, just mix it all up so that all the oils and the herbs are all being nicely mixed up into everything. Okay? So it's all mixed up together. Okay? Boil your kettle. Oh, thought I had the kettle boiled, but anyway. So you don't want this to burn. You've no water in this at this stage, so just keep moving it around Should have had the kettle boiled first, but anyway, so it's a better thing to do. Better not to put cold water in it, it's better to use warm water. Okay, so we go with that. And then just top it up with water. And then put the lid on it. Put it up to full blast now, and we're going to bring it up to the boil. Okay, so some of you are looking at this having heart attacks because you're saying, where are the measurements? Is it a half a teaspoon of cumin seeds? How much hingu is it? How much of this? How much of that? Well, I learned this cooking in India. I've been doing Ayurvedic cooking for years, but I did an official Ayurvedic cooking course in Rishikesh in India. In 2016, I got a diploma in Ayurvedic medicine. And there was a lot of Europeans and South Americans, all very, very nice people on that course. And there was a lot of Germans on the course. And when we were doing the cooking part of the course, there was a guy showing us how to cook, and he was had the pan. He was doing basically what I'm doing there, and he was saying, we put in some of this and we put in some of that. And the Germans kept saying to him, what do you mean some of this? How much of this? Is it a teaspoon? Is it a half a teaspoon? Is it a quarter teaspoon? Whatever it is. And he'd say, well, you can use half a teaspoon if you want. And then he'd carry on. He said, then we put in a bit of this. And again, you'd have the questions, well, how much of this? And eventually he just got fed up, and he said, listen, he said, this cooking is not a science, it's an art, okay? So I don't get hung up about quantities of different things. You can experiment for yourself and use different things as you feel appropriate, okay? You obviously don't put in a huge amount of any one particular thing, especially the hingu. If you have it, you just need a small little amount of the hingu. But as regards how much ginger you use, how much black pepper you use, how much cumin seeds you use, how much churna you use, just use what you feel, whatever it wants. And then the great thing about it is that every time you cook it, it's a little bit different, okay? So I'm sorry for the people that want like written out recipes with the exact amounts, but for me they don't exist, okay? This is just cooking. I'm just cooking my lunch here, So I'm not having a dinner party, and even if I was having a dinner party, I wouldn't use them anyway, okay? So just if you want to tie it down, half a teaspoon, between half a teaspoon and a teaspoon of any one of the things, except for the hingu, in which case you just probably need about a quarter of a teaspoon of that, okay? And then what you do is you bring that to the boil. And then really there's nothing much else you have to do. Now, one good thing. A lot of times, big problem with people eating good food is that they're out working during the day and they don't get the chance to have proper meal during the day. So they're relying on a sandwich and a bag of crisps or a takeaway or something like that. Well, the other thing you can do to get yourself out of that is you can create a flask lunch, okay? So what you need to do in order to create a flask lunch is you need to get yourself a food flask. And a food flask is just a flask that has a big mount on it, okay, for getting food in and out. And you'll get this in any camping shop, and you get it in a lot of different shops. Now, what you can do now, if you want it, is pour some hot water into this, okay, shake it around, pour it down the sink, okay, and then transfer the ingredients that are in here right now at this stage, like it's only on a minute or two, into this food flask, making sure that you take a lot of the water along with the vegetables and the dal. You have a good mixture of everything, but a lot of water, okay? So it's only been cooking for about 2 minutes, but you transfer it into the food flask, you put the lid on the food flask, okay, and you take it to work with you. Now, assuming this is 8 o'clock in the morning or half 8 in the morning, by half 12, that'll be perfectly cooked. It'll cook in the food flask. So you can do this in the morning time and have this ready for your lunch at lunchtime. So there's no reason why we can't have good food. Having good food is essential for good health. It's simply essential. You can take all the shortcuts you want if you like, or make excuses or whatever, but if you want good ojas, good prana in your life, then you need to be eating good food. And this is a very simple thing to do. Now, it's taken me, the biggest part of preparing this meal is just preparing the vegetables, okay? And obviously I've been talking and demonstrating things here, but What does it take? How long does it take you to prepare the vegetables? If you have them, it takes you 5 or 10 minutes to prepare them. Chop up a bit of ginger, chop up the things, wash them in the pan, then put them on. So you could have a whole meal prepared in about 15 minutes, I would say, in the morning time, if you had that 15 minutes. And then, which is the length of time it'll take you to go out and get a sandwich anyway. And then you have a very healthy meal prepared for yourself at lunchtime. All you need then is, maybe you could have some chapatis or some unleavened bread or some crackers or something like that with it, and some fruit for lunch. And then that's a perfect meal. In Ayurveda, it's highly recommended that you eat your main meal in the middle of the day, okay? Because in the middle of the day, there's a thing called Agni, and Agni is your digestive fire. And in the middle of the day is when the sun is at its highest, and it's also when your Agni is at its highest. So Agni is your ability to digest, it's your digestive fire. And when your digestive fire is highest, that's when you're getting the most nutrients out of your food. In actual fact, Ayurveda says it's not what you eat, it's what you digest. Now, obviously, we get the best food that we can to eat, but also our digestion has to be strong. And there's things that you can do as well in Ayurveda is if your digestion is not strong. There's herbs you can take before a meal, a thing called trikatu, which is made up of 3 peppers. That'll get your digestion going very strong. Don't be eating in between meals. You know, if you're eating in between meals, you're killing that digestive fire. So you have your breakfast in the morning if you need one, and then you have your main meal in the middle of the day, and you should be hungry for that meal. That hunger is a sign that that food will be digested properly. If you're eating when you're not hungry, you're not digesting the food. You're just adding on to the fat in your body, and you're not getting the nutrients out of it, because that fire, it's like putting coal on a fire that's not properly lit. It's not going to burn properly. Whereas when the fire is roaring, you can put the coal on and it just burns it all up. So the same thing with our digestion. Our digestion should be nice and strong. So this is boiling away. So I've just lowered the heat. And that'll just cook away, and it'll take maybe another 15 or 20 minutes for that to cook. Now, one of the reasons I did this, we talked about an immunity boosting meal, and you've got nothing but goodness in that particular meal. Immunity is something that people seem to think you're born with a certain level of immunity, and then that immunity will go as you get older, and there's basically nothing you can do about your immune system and your immunity. And to be honest, there's nothing further from the truth. Your immunity, practically everything that you do has an influence on your immunity. Practically everything that you do. If you're eating all the wrong foods, they're not good for helping boost your immunity. If you're overweight, that doesn't help with your immunity. If you're not getting proper sleep, that doesn't help with your immunity either. We need a good 8 hours sleep at nighttime. And when you sleep properly at nighttime, your digestive system cleans itself out, your brain cells, everything up there. The brain has its own lymphatic system called the glial system. So toxins are taken out of there, and all sorts of very important stuff goes on when we sleep at nighttime. And that's why we go to bed feeling tired and we wake up feeling refreshed.
When you wear a bra, do you get back fat bulges, lumps or rolls? Meet the Lacy Bra. Designed with an easy front open clasp, it's loved by thousands of women across the world.
And the reason we're talking about immunity, and the reason people outside of the system, this was completely done within Chinese medicine, and not like causation are two different of those things. Okay, I think this soup is going to be ready, so so at this stage you want to make sure that the dal is well cooked. And then we just okay, so that's it. Ooh, so that's it. That's the soup. That's my lunch, which I'm now going to have. Okay, so yeah, you all know me anyway, so if any of you want any tips or any, you can rewatch this video to see the ingredients and everything like that. And if there's any questions that anybody wants to ask me, well, sure, I'll be hooking up with you on Zoom over the next day or two anyway. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry I probably went on a little bit too much. We managed to cook a soup and solve all the problems of the world at the same time. But anyway, okay, so I'm going to enjoy this and catch up with you soon. Bye.
Okay, so actually, actually what I did there was I skipped about 15 minutes of the second part of the video. Evening this evening by doing a puja, and after the puja then we'll have a message from the okay, sorry, the video just kept going on to something else, you know. So listen, okay, so what I did was I skipped about 15 minutes of the second video. It split it into two videos for some reason, but I was just talking about various different things to do with what was going on, COVID and all that at the time. It wasn't in anything to do with the actual cooking of the meal itself. So, and then at the end, I just took the soup out. So it's very, very simple. I mean, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I do a lot of hill walking, and I love going hill walking with Dr. Brennan because he always cooks. He brings two flasks and we have a beautiful meal up in the mountain. And I'm not saying it's exactly that recipe. He uses different recipes, but that flask is a great thing to do because it just cooks in the flask. Get a good food flask. You can't use an ordinary flask. It's too difficult to get the food in and out, you know, but just get a good food flask. And then you just, about 2 or 3 minutes after you've started it, just transfer it over to the food flask, then put the lid on it, and then it just cooks in the flask. And then by lunchtime, you have a beautiful soup. Or if you come in the evening and you want something, the biggest part of cooking that meal is actually chopping the vegetables. Once you have that done, I have all my spices. They're just in jars. I have them there, and I just use them. And you saw the way I do it. I just throw them in, and you know, some people were saying in the chat, "Oh my God, you use a lot of hingu," and I did. I noticed that I use a lot of hingu in that, but I actually do tend to use probably too much hingu. But you can just alter it to whatever level that you want, you know. So I'm just going to see some of the questions here, and can't hear anything, so that's obviously got solved. Okay, so everybody can hear. Let's see. Okay. Why no salt in the cooking? I tend to just put the salt in at the end, and I do use salt. I don't tend to fry the salt in the ghee. I don't think there's any reason why you couldn't do that if you wanted to do it. But what I do is I tend to yeah, I just tend to use the salt at the end, and the rock salt is lovely because it's only partially salt. There's lots of other minerals in that as well, so you're not taking in an excessive amount of salt, even though it has a very lovely salty taste. I have some of the. I'm just going to see. Can I get myself up here on the Okay, yeah, that's better. Okay, does ghee add to LDL bad cholesterol? There's a lot of debate over that. I've heard Dr. Brennan say that in actual fact, it's a perfect oil with the right balance of different things in it. Now, the thing about it is, you got to go back to Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Okay, so if you're very Kapha, you're already very oily. So you just use a small amount of the ghee. You use a small amount of the ghee to fry the spices in. If you're Pitta, like me, you can use a moderate amount of the ghee. And if you're Vata, you're very dry anyway, so you can get away with using more of the ghee in that. And the ghee is, it's very good for creating ojas. It's very, very good for creating ojas. And it's, as I say, it's very revered, you know. Let's see what the other questions are. Okay, so someone said a lot of hing. Yes, I agree with that. Was way more. Pink salt is good to use. Yes, pink salt, rock salt, pink salt, fine. What type of bread is used in Ayurvedic cooking? Well, it tends to be unleavened bread, so they wouldn't tend to use yeast in them. So you'd have things like rotis and chapatis. I'm not great at making them. Rajvindra has shown them in some of her cookery courses, and they're lovely with that soup. They're absolutely lovely. She can make them perfectly round. Mine tend to come out like a map of Ireland or something like that. But they're still nice, but they're just not properly shaped. But it would just use a mixture of flours and just cook the bread fresh, and you just make it as part of the meal, you know. And bread is really just sugar and to be avoided. Yes, it depends. Processed bread, I'd probably agree with that, but this would not be processed bread. This would be a mixture of whole wheat flour and gram flour and different things that you can make them out of. And as I say, it's tricky ingredients: black pepper, long pepper, and ginger powder. No, it's not. Tricky is 3 peppers. There's no ginger in it. There's another pepper in there as well. That's very good for strengthening your digestion. If you have very weak digestion, you can take some tricky with some honey, or you can take some lemon and salt before, and a bit of honey before a meal as well. You know, the churnas, is there a substitute, please? Yes, I don't tend to use churnas. I just have the different spices there, so you can use the churnas. These are churnas, okay? So this one is a pitta churna, and you'd know that by the fact that it's blue, okay, which is a cooling color. So that's going to have cooling spices in it. And this one is a kapha churna, okay, and it's red, so it's a stimulating color because kapha have sluggish digestion, you know. So this will have ingredients that will be good to help boost. They'll be stronger. They'll have a stronger taste out of them. So people can use churnas, and lots of people do use them if they don't want to carry all the different spices. But it's absolutely fine. You don't have to use churnas. You can just buy the spices yourself, whatever ones that you want to use, and just use them. But a lot of people do use the churnas. So it's love the advert, yeah, for the bra. That was a bit out of the blue there, really. All right, you never know what you get with YouTube. That's the problem these days, because for some reason they're putting ads on our videos, even though we don't get paid for them or anything like that. But yeah, what can you do? Chapati is flat Ayurvedic bread, just flour and water. Can add cumin seeds. Absolutely, you can add cumin seeds. You can add fenugreek seeds. And actually, we have a lot of cookery courses on the Ayurveda website, webinars that Dr. Rajendra has done, and she shows a lot of those things in that. You know, me too, Brian. I'm not too sure what that is. Same here, bulges everywhere. Lazy bra, yeah. Are brown lentils much better than red lentils? I don't know is the answer to that. I use both. I think it's a great idea to use variety. I love the yellow mung dal. I absolutely love it. It's that's the one that we have. Okay. Now, I actually stopped selling that at one stage because it's expensive. I mean, I don't mind organic products being more expensive than conventional ones, but I think they should be within reason. But this actually is €10 for 1 kg, and I may actually be looking at having to put the price up because it's got dearer for me. You can buy dal in a Chinese Asian store. You'd probably get 1 kg of dal for €3, maybe less. I don't know. But I stopped selling it, and I had uproar from customers because they didn't want the stuff they were getting from the Chinese shops, and they said they didn't feel it was as good. So I took it back in and stock it again. I do stock it. We sell a lot of it. It's €10 for 1 kg. Now, a kg will last you a long time, but you'll buy it much, much cheaper in the Asian stores. And the same with the rice. We have a basmati organic rice we sell. It's €9 for 1 kg. And then if you eat at shop in Tesco's, you don't even have to go to an Asian store. You'll know that you can get a kg of rice for maybe €2 or something like that. But this stuff I take it in from Germany, you know, and I have to sell it at that price because that's the price I'm buying it at. And well, it's not the price but I'm buying it at a high price. And so I've no choice. But people want it. If I take it off the website, people are always getting on to me. Was the dal steeped in advance? No, it wasn't. You don't have to steep mung dal. The brown lentils, you probably should steep them for a while, but mung dal, you don't have to steep. Now, if your digestion is very weak, then the more you steep it, the lighter it will be. So it might be an idea to steep it in water overnight if you want it. Yellow dal, you don't tend to have to steep. Sheev says, thank you. Will you send the links to the 2 videos in a follow-on email, please? I will, Tony. They're both on our YouTube channel. They're there anyway. Like, there's lots and lots of videos on our YouTube channel. So you should go to that channel. And if you just search under soup, both of the videos will come up. So if you want to see what I was talking about while the soup was cooking, you can look at that as well. But it wasn't really relevant to the cooking of the thing. But what I'll do is I'll send an email tomorrow as well. I'm recording this, so what I'll do is I'll send this as well. But I'll put the link into the 2 videos as well, so you can go and see the 2 full videos. And yeah, so Ripple says, thank you, Noel. Love the flask tip. Yeah, the flask is fantastic. I mean, it's if you're just stuck working somewhere where you can't get decent food, or the canteen doesn't do good food, and you just want to have something nice. It's so nourishing when you eat it. It's just so nourishing, you know. How much ghee will you use for soup for one person? I'd use maybe a tablespoonful, a level tablespoonful, maybe a bit more. I like ghee. Ghee is very good for your digestion, for strengthening your digestion. It's very good for pitta people, and I'm a pitta person, so uh, I never measure it precisely. As you saw there, I just took it out with the wooden spoon, and but you know, I wouldn't. It doesn't have to be swimming in it by any means, but just use a you know. But a level teaspoonful would be fine. iPhone says thanks so much. Great, looking forward to getting a food flask. Yeah, any camping shop. There's a camping shop on Liffey Street in Dublin there, a scout shop. You'll get a food flask in there, but you get them on. You can buy them on Amazon as well. But get a good one, you know. That's really going to keep the food warm. Are the spices you use organic? Cumin seeds and turmeric. We try to use organic whenever we can, and most of the spices we sell are organic. And we get them from Organic Herb in the UK. We import them from them. That's becoming a little bit more difficult as well with Brexit. But I try to use organic everything. The food there, I go to that farm, McNally Family Farm. Phenomenal, just phenomenal. Not only the food, but the people there. It's just when you go and the food is all arrayed in the baskets, it just looks absolutely lovely. And you know, it's all grown, it's in season. Now they do have polytunnels and they grow some stuff outside as well, but those type of farms are springing up everywhere, and you should support those farms, because they, unlike, you know, dairy farmers or whatever, they don't get grants from the government. As far as I'm aware, they don't get any grants from the government. They just have to grow their food and sell their food. But a couple of years back, I used to go there, and I might be the only person there. You know, it's in the middle of Knoll in North County Dublin. Like, it's not in it. It's just this is the actual farm. They do have markets as well. But I go there now, and there's always 6 or 7 people there, no matter what time of the day I go there. And they have a coffee shop now as well. So they're doing really well, which is great to see. And there are other crowds doing box delivery systems like Green Earth Organics, and Neighbourhood Food is another one. And I'm sure the people in the UK, there must be organic farms and urban farms in the UK. And it's great to support those, because, you know, you're buying food, it's not laced with pesticides and chemicals, it's not coming a huge distance, it tends to be grown in season as well, and it doesn't cost an awful lot of money. I don't feel it costs an awful lot of money, you know. Can you use different dals? Absolutely, you can use different dals. Thank you, Noel, that Flask is a great idea. Thank you, Noel, that was great. For variety, there is different types of dals. There's loads of different dals. What is Hingu? Hingu is asafoetida. Let's see. This is the Maharishi Ayurveda Hingu. It's also called asafoetida. It has a really strong smell of it, and not such a nice one. But it's an aperitif. It's a resin. They're resins from trees, from various different trees, and it's used in a lot of Ayurvedic cooking. They don't use onions and garlic because they are said to be rajasic. They stir up the mind. They can aggravate the mind and get the thinking up. So a lot of yogis that would be into meditation wouldn't want that. So if you see a pure vegetarian restaurant in India, that means they're not using onions or garlic. Generally, they're not using onions or garlic, but they do use Hingu. Now, in actual fact, I have a load of these in stock, and you've probably seen it on the email. These are expiring in August of 2022, which is about 7 months away. And this is €18, but I've reduced it to €12 on the website because I have well over 100 of these in stock, so I want to move them before they come to that time. If you haven't tried it before, it's lovely, but just use a small amount of it. I got banned from cooking with this in my parents' house because it has a strong smell of it, you know. So that's what Hingu is, and again, it's an antiviral product actually as well. Sometimes they put it into little pouches and wear it around their neck as well, you know. And the dal organic, yes, the dal is organic. Browsing through food flask options on Amazon as we speak. Very good, lovely, thanks for that, Sue. Is celery, onion, and garlic not recommended? Celery, I'm not so sure about. Onion and garlic, listen, I take onion and garlic as well. I wouldn't tend to cook with them normally, but you know, if I'm out and I'd have garlic bread or something like that, but they're not in pure Indian cooking, in pure vegetarian cooking, onions and garlic are not used. As I say, they're said to be rajasic, so they stir up the mind. So for people who are meditators, they don't tend to use that, you know. Pulses cook better without salt, so add later. Well, that's very good, Jerry. That's great. I always just add it at the end. I for some reason, maybe it's the way I was taught. I never put the salt in with cooking. I do put the pepper in. I put the pepper in the ghee, but the salt I just leave it till the end. You know. Tasty recipe. Is this a tasty recipe for primary school children? Got to try it on them. You got to try it on them. You know. I don't know what they're eating now, but I think it'd be well worth giving it a go and seeing what they think. You know, it's a lovely soup, and it would be very, very good for them with all the vegetables that are in it. You know, these flasks are great. So there's a link there for people if they want to take a look at that. I'm not sure chilies.com, but we take it from Sarah that those flasks are good. Tesco do a good flask thermos about €25. Yeah, that's what you should be paying, about €25. Is there a reason for not using onions? So I've answered that. Ghee, cumin seeds, hingu, pepper, vata churna, ginger, brown lentils, mung dal. Is that everything? Ghee, cumin seeds, hingu, pepper, vata churna, ginger, brown lentils, mung dal. Yeah, that's what I used in that one. But as I say, I wouldn't tend to use vata churna all the time. There's different churnas that you can use, you know. I would tend to have turmeric as well. And I tend to put a little pinch of that in there. Thanks, Noel. Loved all the spices. Can you use olive oil? No. No, olive oil is not recommended for cooking with, for heating. You put olive oil on a salad, or you can put it on pasta afterwards, but not as a cooking oil. That's our recommendation anyway, you know. Is rock salt preferable to black lava salt? Black salt is, we also sell, it's more sulfuric. So that's black salt. Really strong smell off that as well. Can't remember. There is a reason why you would use that over, but you could use both of them. But we sell that as well. That black salt, very strong smell of it, but also very nice. You know, I wouldn't say preferable. Thanks for the video. Rock salt is delicious. I learned about from one of your detox courses. I also love fenugreek. Yeah. Noel, do you do deliveries? Yes. Okay. I'll open a takeaway. You can start putting the orders in. Have you a recommended for gluten-free flour or chapatis? I don't. Maybe if you email Dr. Rajvinder, she'd be way more up on that than I am. If you can just email Dr. Rajvinder, she definitely know about that. You know, is homemade sourdough bread good for vata? I don't know, Sarah. Again, that would be something that I just can't think. Yeah, I've never made it. I don't think I've. Yeah. I think I've had sourdough bread, all right, but yeah, I'm not so sure, Sarah. I don't want to answer something that I don't know. I never used churnas until I ordered them. They are very nice. Yeah, I thought Swartz salt was rock salt. Maybe not. I don't know. It would say rock salt. The good thing about churnas is you can sprinkle on food on the plate. Absolutely, you can. You can sprinkle them on afterwards. I feel, well, actually both are good, but frying them in the ghee has a certain thing as well, because as I said, the ghee goes very deeply into the cells and it brings the nutrients very deeply into the cells. Whereas if you're putting them on the food afterwards, you're not getting that effect, but you'll be getting a different effect, you know. You got a bra ad because you're cooking and only women cook, obviously. Very good, Jerry. Okay, we won't go there. Do you peel your organic root veg? Yes, I do. And the funny thing is, I'd say Dr. Rajvinder tends not to do that. I remember when she came to Ireland first and we did our first course, she just washed the carrots and didn't peel them. And I think probably it's a good idea if you can clean them, probably not to peel them. But I think I'm just in the habit of peeling them. And so I do peel them, you know. OG veg don't need peeling. IMHO. Okay, I'm not too sure what that is. 2.5 kg for about the same price for the yellow mung dal from Buy Wholesome Foods. There you are. Okay, so 2.5 kg for the same price. So that's what I was saying. But as I say, I have a lot of people want that dal. If I take it off the website, I get emails from people saying they want it. So if they want it, they want it. But I'm just telling you, it's expensive and you can get dal a lot cheaper. I prefer it from Germany, a bit higher price too, okay? Yellow dal is a great staple. You'll never be hungry. I do steep it. Can anyone recommend an efficient food flask? We've done that. Tony Whelan, would you recommend organic rice? I'd recommend organic everything. Why take pesticides into your system if you can avoid taking them in, you know? Thanks, Noel. Thank you very much. Please tell me, which place in India did you do your training? I did my training in Rishikesh, in the foothills of the Himalayas, on the banks of the Ganges, in 2016. It's a place I've been to. I did a yoga teacher training course. I did an Ayurveda diploma. I've been going to Rishikesh I've been to India maybe, I don't know, 40 or 50 times at this stage. I used to go 2 or 3 times a year, and I love Rishikesh. If you ever, I do tours there. I brought lots of people there. I think the last tour I did there was in 2018. 20 of us went up there, and we went trekking in the mountains, and we visited ashrams, and we visited caves in the hills. And I know a lot of people there, and I love the area, and I know all the places to go and everything like that. So it's fantastic. But you can do training in lots of places. Kerala is another great place to do training. But like, if I go to India, I like to go to somewhere nice. Like, I wouldn't be a big fan of the cities like Delhi. I lived in Mumbai for a while, but I like Mumbai as a city, but I prefer the country areas, and I certainly prefer the Himalayan areas. They're very beautiful. The point about not measuring, I think, is to learn to use your intuition with cooking. Yes, some people love measurements though, and most cookery books are going to give you measurements. So I'll see, can I dig out a recipe for the Flask lunch? I think I might have an actual recipe with actual measurements, which will satisfy some people. If I can find it, I'll put it in with the email tomorrow. For kapha, can you use ghee with olive oil? We wouldn't recommend cooking with olive oil. Thanks for the recipe, Noel. Fantastic, Vina. I got a brilliant food flask. Think the brand is Chili. Very good. So that, Janice, that's probably the site that the other lady put in, because that was chili.com. And Janice is recommending that food flask. So, my God, there's lots of messages coming here. Food flask is home store or more for €10 is brilliant. Well, there you go. That's Eve from IFA. So a €10 food flask. So there's no reason why you can't get one. Great organic farm shop with seasonal products if you are in Wexford, Wicklow region. Okay, they're popping up everywhere, and I encourage people to support them. Argos sell a thermos, works out cheaper and no plastic. Green box in Cavan, great, pick up only. They are for people up in Cavan, green box. My local farm shop food isn't organic, but at least it's fresh and local. Absolutely, get the best of what you can, So I'm fortunate because I can get organic, so I go with organic. So what about leeks? Yes. What about them, Jerry? Yeah, I like leeks. I cut them up. I use them. I fry them in the thing. They're lovely. They're lovely. What is your thought on the nightshades? Are they not great for us? I use them in nearly every dish. Yeah, again, maybe Rajvinder is the person to ask about that. Tomatoes and stuff like that. She is not a big fan of them, I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. She's an Ayurvedic doctor, but I don't think Rajvinder is a huge fan of them. But if you want to use tomatoes, then just use small. Well, I'm Pitta anyway, so a small amount of them. But I do buy them. I buy organic ones, and I do use them every now and then. Francis says thanks. What about rapeseed oil? Rajvinder is a fan of that. She likes that. So, does Hingu suit all body types? Yes, I haven't heard that it's for any particular body type. So try it yourself and see what you think about it. Is fenugreek usually so bitter? Yeah, fenugreek can be bitter, all right. Millet flour is gluten-free, so that was an answer to an earlier question. How do you know which turner is right for you? Because it could be a combination of doshas, pitta, vata, kapha. Go with the season then. Go with the season. This is kapha season, so go with the kapha turner. In the summertime, it's pitta season. Go with the pitta turner, and in the autumn time, it's vata season. Oh no, sorry. I'm getting that wrong around. This is Vata season, and then Pitta season, and then Kapha season. So go with the season or go with the way that you feel, Thank you, Noel. Great tips. No, sorry, I have that. I'm getting that wrong. This is the Kapha season, the Pitta season, and then autumn is the Vata season. How long did you boil the dal and veg before you put it in the flask? You can, just 2 or 3 minutes. You can put it in the flask after 2 or 3 minutes, but make sure you put lots of water in it so that it can cook. You want to transfer a lot of the water. I'm dominantly pitta, but also other two, so hard to buy products based on dosha, so I keep neutral. Is that okay? In the summertime, go with pitta products. In the this time of the year, go with kapha products, and in the autumn, go with vata products, and just be self-referral based on how you feel. Inspiring as ever. Thank you. When is the next tour, Noel? I would love to do a tour to India next Christmas. It'll depend on the situation. I can't wait to get back to India, and yeah, I might do a tour. I love doing them. I love bringing people there. I bring them to places that they wouldn't normally get to see, and I know some beautiful caves with some yogis living in them up in the mountains, and they're always happy to when I bring people along. And yeah, I know some really fantastic places. So I love Rishikesh, Farah. Yeah, Rishikesh is phenomenal, phenomenal place. It's in on the banks of the Ganges, and outside the town there's two suspension bridges, and there's a place called Lakshman Jula and Ram Jula, and there's big suspension bridges going across them, and that's the way you get from one side of the river to the other. I mean, huge suspension bridges, but they're only maybe 5 or 6 feet wide, so they can't take a car, but they take horses and cows and motorbikes and all sorts of stuff. I've thousands of pictures of Rishikesh from tours I did. Maybe one night I'll do an India thing about. I first went to India in '93. Well, I went to Nepal in '89, I think. I climbed up to Annapurna Base Camp in Nepal in 1989, and then I went to India in 1993 was my first trip there. But I've been back there every year except for the COVID lockdown. I've been to India, you know. When are you next taking a tour to Rishikesh? Okay, maybe Christmas. Keep us posted re tours. Once you're on the mailing list, you're posted re everything. When's your next trip to India? Thanks, Noel. Any comments about black rice? No, I don't know anything about it. Sorry, Alan. Looking forward to trying it. Would love a tour, Noel. Lots of people want to go. Nightshade's not good for pit, a small amount only. Yes, Claire, I would agree with that. Green Door Organic Market, Bluebell, Dublin, Thursday to Sunday. Well, there you are. That's from Carmel and Dermot. Hiya, Carmel and Dermot. Came down to see me in Drogheda not so long ago. Green Door Organic Market, Bluebell, Dublin, Thursday to Sunday. Listen, if you look around, you'll find the place. Very informative, enjoyed the class. Thank you, Noel. Plan another trip to India. Castle Ruddy Organic Farm near Baltinglass and have great selection. Great. Does Ayurveda not recommending eating meat, fish, or eggs? It depends. It would tend to be a vegetarian, lacto-vegetarian diet, but it depends. It depends. Sometimes I remember a Vaidya in India down in Kerala. I can't remember how many years ago I was there, but he recommended that this lady eat goat's meat because he said she was just too vata. She just was completely vata and she needed to be grounded and she needed to get strength. And he actually said that if you're going to eat meat, goat's meat is the best meat to eat. And his logic was that goats are very brave, and they are. Believe me, the goats roam around in India. I wouldn't challenge one of them because they'll never back down from me, you know, not like sheep. Sheep will run away, but goats will stand up to you. But goats eat everything. They eat everything. They eat briars, herbs, everything, you know, so that the meat tends to be very rich. So you probably have some Indian Vaidya's wouldn't recommend meat, fish, or eggs, but some of them wouldn't be so strict, you know. So again, it depends on different things, you know. Next Xmas sounds fab. Have to be jabbed to travel? I don't think so. No, you don't have to be jabbed to travel. It's different rules for different countries. Yeah, it's different rules for different countries. I doubt very much you need to be jabbed to go to India. You probably need a negative test or something like that. But no, you don't. You don't. I'm going to Spain tomorrow. You know, so you don't have to be. Anyway, I'm not going into the vaccine thing. You don't have to be jabbed to travel. India is on my list. Of your tour, maybe you could show some video. I don't have any video. I just have pictures. Would love to go to the tour. God, that's coming back up. Thank you so much. There's nature. That's what's called nature support. That's nature pushing you in a particular direction. You think of something, and then all this support comes in from it. Thanks so much for answering all the questions. Was on the tour with Noel in 2018. Wonderful experience. Hiya, Joan. Yeah. I think. John, I'm not too sure if you were the person that got. There was one lady went out shopping in Rishikesh, and she was coming back, and a monkey stole her banana, stole the bag and the bananas that she had, and a cow knocked her into the ditch on the way back to the hotel. I'm not sure. I think you went with your friend Joan. I can't. Maybe I'm getting mixed up. But anyway, yeah, it was a wonderful experience. Great session. Thank you, Noel. Great session. Not together, not too sure what that means. Not at the same time. Thank you, Noel. Got to recap and learn more. Super session, Noel. Lovely time in Spain. You don't need, but to get back to Ireland, don't you need a jab? Absolutely not. You don't need a jab. Most countries, there's only certain countries that you need to be jabbed to get back to Ireland. You are to get into or get back to. So just look up the rules. They're on the system. You don't need to be jabbed. I have a COVID recovery cert because I got COVID at Christmas time. Enjoy your tour. Just back myself. Pleasant start for a list. Please start a list for India. Okay. Happy holidays. This is my first holiday in 2 years. And I tell you something, I don't think I've ever worked as hard as I've worked in the last 2 years, but it's been an absolute joy because it was all to do with Ayurveda. So it was fantastic. I can't hear at the moment. It's just me. Okay, that's it. I think that's all the questions answered. Okay, so what I'll do is, thanks very much. Great session and added humor. Okay, that's great. What's not to like? Exactly, what's not to like? And I believe you got, I think you were on the TV or you were in something recently, you were telling me. Start a first comers list for India trip, Noel. I'm going EBC this Easter, so India at Xmas would be lovely follow-up. I didn't quite see who that came from. Listen, if you're interested in going to India, send me an email, noel@ayurveda.ie. I'll set up a list and I'll give first refusal if I run a tour. If I run a tour, okay? I'm not saying I will run a tour. It'll depend on a few things. It's quite a big deal organizing that. I've organized a lot of them. I know all the hotels to stay in. I know the bus hire companies. I know all that sort of stuff. It'll depend on the COVID situation by then, which hopefully it'll just be finished with. You definitely do not need to be vaccinated to go into India, but you probably would need a negative test or whatever. And so send me an email, noel@ayurveda.ie, and then I'll give you first refusal on the tour. Okay, yeah, I'm okay. That's revenue. Last 2 years hard work for you, but has been brilliant for us all. Work and energy you've put into the course. Yeah, no, to be honest, I've loved it. So it's and Ayurveda has just gone from strength to strength. Okay, thank you, Noel. Okay, I think I've got to the end of the messages. Actually, I've got a new guy working for us as well, a guy called Jed Rafferty. He's a local guy. He's actually a guy I taught TM to about, it must be nearly 20 years ago that I taught Jed TM, and he's a carer for his son, but it suits him to come and do some part-time work as well. So that's taken a lot of the pressure off me. So he's packing all your orders and all that sort of stuff. So means I will be able to get to do a bit more traveling. And these Zoom calls, like I can do them from anywhere, really. I mean, that's the great thing about it. You can do them from anywhere. So let's just see if there's any new, 5 new messages. Thank you, Noel. I keep telling everybody about your website. Great. The 7-lesson course. That's what I want everybody to do. That's the perfect place to start with Ayurveda, is to do that 7-lesson course. It's a, you know, the problem with Facebook and this thing, everything's so fleeting. It's just like, you know, they're telling me in Facebook, you got to grab the people in 30 seconds. And if you don't grab them by 30 seconds, you're not going to get them. And like, I'm just not interested in that. I just, everything is so fleeting. So, you know, you can't understand Ayurveda in 30 seconds. You have to have, you know, you have to be willing to put the time into it. So it's getting the people that want actual knowledge, you know, and the best way to do that is for people who have done the 7-lesson course to tell their friends. Because me telling someone to do 7-lesson course, well, that's obvious. But what else am I going to be doing? I'm running the Ayurveda Center. I'm going to be telling the whole world to do it. But who's going to be listening to me? But you people that have done it say, well, I've done this course. I found it very useful. And then those people will sign up and do that 7-lesson course. And the thing about the 7-lesson course now, it's not live. It's all recorded. So they can watch it whenever they want. They can watch it on their phone. They can watch it whenever they want. I'm running Facebook ads for it at the moment, actually. There's about 15 or 16 people a day registering for that course, which is great. I don't know if they're completing it or doing it, but they are registering for it. But just tell your friends about it is the way to do it. And then we'll have a live Q&A. We'll do another live Q&A in maybe 2 weeks' time. I'm away next week, so I won't do anything next Tuesday night. But when I'm back then after that, we'll do a live Q&A. Tony says he's done the course a couple of times to recommend people want to talk about Ayurveda. In March, I'm going to Slovenia. You know, I'm doing another postgraduate course in Ayurveda at the moment with the Alma Mater University in Slovenia, in a place called Malabar in Slovenia. And we have our examinations in March. So I'll be going over there to do those exams. And if any of you are out there want to study more about Ayurveda, but it's a postgraduate course for people who have some medical experience. I got on it because I had already studied Ayurveda in India, but it's specifically designed towards nurses and doctors and chiropractors. And, you know, if you have any holistic training or something like that. You have to have a kind of a grounding in the knowledge already, but it's a fantastic course. It really is a fantastic course. And we're hoping to do our own course soon as well. We're hoping to offer our own practitioner course. So by the end of it, you can be an actual practitioner, you know. I mean, the 7-lesson Ayurveda course is great, but you're not going to be a practitioner after that. I mean, that wouldn't be giving you the knowledge to be a practitioner, you know. Okay, I think that's it. What I'll do is I'll send out this tomorrow. I'm not going to cut out the advert because with the bra, because it'll just take me too long to start cutting that out. So you'll just have to watch that ad again, you know. So I'll send out the thing tomorrow. I'll send a link to the 2 videos on the website as well. And I'm away, but what I'll do is, because we have the new guy working, I'll do a discount code as well, but only until Sunday, because I've just finished one. Okay, so I'll do another one, and if you want to buy, like, the Hingu is reduced from 18 to 12, and I'll give it a 15% discount code as well. I'll use the code SOUP, S-O-U-P, capital S. Now, I haven't set it up yet, so don't start putting in any orders. I'll do it tomorrow, okay? And I'll use a discount code, and then, but I'll only run it until Sunday. So if there's things you want to buy or you want to try out, because I just encourage everybody to do this. Don't be afraid. Just do it. What's the worst that can happen? You don't cook it properly and you have to go and buy something, but that's probably not going to happen, you know. And the best that can happen is you discover an absolutely delicious meal that's really, really good for you, you know. Okay, everybody, I think we'll come to an end from Sally, probably Sally Hayden, I think. I'm not too sure. It just says iPad too. So that's fantastic, everybody. Big Rudev, namaste. Thanks a million for coming on. We had, well, we're dropping numbers now, but we had over 200 on the call, so that's great. And I'll be back in touch with you Tuesday week. I'll say we'll have something. I'll talk to Dr. Brennan and we'll organize something. Okay, adios, everybody. See you in a couple of weeks. Bye. Bye-bye.